Hey everyone, it's Robin Angela from Brown Bird Events, and today is Wedding Wednesday. And today I'm going to talk about food tastings. I actually did a post on all my socials yesterday, or most of my socials, and I talked about the importance of a food tasting at an event. So let's do more of a specified event, which is a wedding. Why is it important for a food tasting? One of the things that I said yesterday that was super important about a food tasting is this: it can help you avoid any misunderstandings, conflict, drama, disappointment on your actual wedding day. It has happened to a lot of couples. The expectation in your brain, and you would figure most couples would have a food tasting, which they do, but there are some probably weren't even thinking about the mindset of having a food tasting. They just accepted, what they saw on social media, saw on the website. Oh, the food looks amazing. Or maybe you accepted reviews that the actual caterer gave and you just went with it. Like, well, if they had all 5 stars, then I'm absolutely sure we'll love it. That's not always the case. Somebody can have 5 stars, but how many of us know that each of our individual palates are actually different? So my palate is going to be different than my husband's palate, which will be different than my mom's palate or my dad's palate. We are all born with different palates, and some of us are allergic to some things. Some of us have a strong dislike. So we never want to just go by the website or the social media alone and just take for granted that the food is great. Having a tasting, like I said, we want to eliminate any disappointment, any frustration, because these things have happened. There have been a lot of complaints, and one thing that will make and break your wedding anyway is food. You can have the prettiest dress, the most handsome tux, you can have the ambiance and the fine china and the cutlery and everything else. However, if you do not have great food, behind the scenes, your event will be talked about. Unfortunately, that's just today's world that we're living in. Okay, so now that we got that point out of the way, let's talk about a food tasting slash caterer. How about that? Having at a hotel, right, versus another venue, and what sometimes the differences may be. When you have an event at a hotel, and hotels can be swanky and fancy and really nice. Hotels, believe it or not, don't always have the best food. Don't get me wrong, their hors d'oeuvres might be great, and to me, that's one of my favorite parts of the event anyhow, cocktail hour, because I believe the hors d'oeuvres are amazing. But hotels don't always offer the best food. It's definitely important to hook up with your wedding planner and ask for a tasting with the chef, because you don't always get what you want. Sometimes we have standard hotel food. How many of you have had the basic chicken, and sometimes it seems bland with the mashed potatoes and a side, or a salmon that might be too dry? Those things are really important. And when you are spending thousands of dollars, you definitely want to talk to your chef. If the salmon is bland or the chicken is bland, or you need less seasoning or more seasoning, you need to be very kind, because that's their artistic expression. I'll put that in the post. So be careful, but at the same time, being direct and say, hey, I like this dish, but for me, can we make sure on that day, that the salmon has more moisture in it, less moisture in it? I want to make sure that the silver lining at the bottom of the salmon is gone. I don't want my guests to have to taste that. Maybe some people are allergic to spice, so we say, no spicy chicken. Do you have this option? Maybe you can have the chicken, but maybe the sauce for the chicken can be customizable. For example, maybe like a garlic sauce or a certain type of gravy, etc. Whatever you like and is best for your palate. These are the times during the tasting that you want to be direct. And if you find that you're butting heads and is absolutely not going your way, you want to halt. you definitely want to halt and ask your wedding planner for some options. A good wedding planner, they might not have the answer right then and there, but they should know how to pivot and find out more options for you. And sometimes you have to just simply walk away. And so that is more so for a hotel. Then there are caterers who do this for a living. That's all that they do is strictly cater. So they're not necessarily on site like a hotel. And what they do is they travel on site. I tend to like those places more because that's all they do is cater. They specialize in food. So they usually have different options that you can choose from. They do offer tastings. One of the things you need to look out is for location. How far away from your venue is the offsite caterer? What time do they come? Do they come an hour in advance to set up? Do they bring their own team? Do you have to hire a team for them? Things even simple like, do I need to pay in cash? Do I need to pay in credit card? Do you accept check? You want to get all that stuff squared out the way. Having a food tasting is not really, it shouldn't be optional. It is a must. My palate versus my husband's palate is going to be different. But we are, you as a couple are the first, you're the front lines for food. You want to make sure you're vouching for it before your guests do. It really should wow you if you're spending thousands of dollars, especially for an event like a wedding. People travel far, they travel wide, they're excited. They feel like sometimes this is going to be event of the year. You know, you put out your save the dates followed by the invitation. You have the ceremony. Ceremony's beautiful, and you know, you're going to eat right on site, and cocktail hour is amazing. But then you sit down for dinner and you get the driest chicken and the driest salmon. It kind of throws the whole concept of this special event off. So that's why it's so important, because you want to talk about this for years to come. This is all based on a memory, right? We're building memories here. Those are just some of those things that you have to think about. It's one thing to know your wedding planner has it, your day of coordinator has it. Everything is organized according to the timeline, according to all the notes that we discuss over the different consultations and appointments. But it's another thing to know that your food is going to be dynamic and amazing. So I'm going to stop here for Wedding Wednesday. Again, having a food tasting is not optional. Remember, for those of you get married, go ahead and ask your wedding planner. Say, hey, can we have a food tasting? We need to schedule it, and that's a must. Listen, so my motto is mixing creativity with excellence. I hope you guys have an excellent Wednesday. And if you want to get in contact with a great wedding planner, here I am, Robin Angela. I live on the East Coast in the tri-state area of Pennsylvania. So listen, reach out to me and I will be glad to coordinate a food tasting for your wedding. All right, mixing creativity with excellence. Have a great day.